All right, Josh, you had a chance to talk to everybody from Tennessee, obviously. How different do you think they are as a group? Josh, Coach Heupel, and the players, do they feel different to you coming into this event this year than previous years?
Yes, I think there's a lot of comfort because they believe at least that they're going to have a lot of success and probably expect to have a lot of success. And a few years ago, it was more about, okay, what's the program going to become? They weren't in a very good position. They had to find out if they could win. And now they know that they're capable of doing that going in. They also have Amari Thomas, who's been here, so he's comfortable in this setting talking about Tennessee. Cooper Mays, who this time a year ago planned to be in the NFL, and now he's back for another season, his final year at Tennessee. He used that extra eligibility. It's just an older group, and I think Josh Heupel also is comfortable with where the program is. He's not hiding from the idea that they have a ton of talent, they have depth, and with that big expectation. So the talk, at least, I think, is real in terms of what they expected themselves.
What's interesting is all the players today basically were okay being the underdog. And I think Tennessee, like a few other teams in the league, is probably comfortable not being the team picked and not having all the headlines. I wonder if that's part of the strategy of not bringing Nico Iamaleava to the event, actually.
Yeah, I think letting the older guys kind of handle that, I think that's part of it. If Nico has the success he's expected to this year, he'll be here next year. James Pierce Jr., he's another guy with all the SEC and national accolades, but not in the position where they want him representing what the message is. He's not as good media-wise. He's great on the field media-wise. They'll go with the veterans, the guys that have been in the program 5+ years, or Keenan, who's been in college for 8 or 9 years. So I think that's a big part of the message, but Tennessee looks at itself as a team that belongs with the best teams in the league, but Georgia, Texas, they've proven what they can do. Alabama's a new coach, but the program has been there. Tennessee's trying to get back there, but they believe that they're at least 20-22 good, meaning they can go win 10 games, they can put up one of the best offenses in the country. They have to go prove it, but the belief is real.
Is the analysis of the team pretty accurate? Like, elite defensive line, pretty solid along the offensive line, great quarterback-friendly system, questions in the back seven in the secondary, and that if the quarterback develops into a star, they're very, very good. Is that as clean, as simple as it can get with Tennessee?
Yeah, I think most people share the same opinion looking at the personnel of what it is, what it can be. There are a couple of groups that it might go one way or the other. Like, some have more confidence in the wide receiver group than others. On our show, Jason Swain, a former wide receiver, maybe that's part of it. He wants to see more of the potential, the way it's being talked about, actually happen on the field. But Josh Heupel himself has said, yeah, last year we lacked depth, especially after Brew McCoy went down with injury. He's right about that. Go back and watch some of the play calling. It shows you what he thought of some of the personnel, the protection that might have been lacking at times from the offensive line, and the lack of playmaking at wide receiver. I think he'll show us with what he calls the confidence he has in the quarterback, the protection. Again, that has to be shown. Lance Hurd's a big factor at left tackle, but then the wide receivers. There should be more playmaking with a guy like Chris Brazell, but to the offensive line overall, yeah, they bring back some veterans. That shows you, if Cooper Mays is healthy, what they're probably capable of. The defensive line, I think, is legit with Pierce and his elite ability, and then the depth, the amount of guys they'll play. The secondary, nobody knows. Nobody knows because it's a brand new group. We know they're talented, but they never played in the SEC. Any of them really playing meaningful snaps. So they have to go prove it. And then linebacker, everybody agrees they have some talent. I think most everybody agrees they better not have any injuries.
Yep. All right, so is Tennessee clear? Are they capable of being the best team on the second tier? Does that make sense? If you're going to put Georgia and Texas and Alabama, maybe Ole Miss, I don't know who you got on your top tier, but is Tennessee capable of being the 4th or 5th team, the top of that second tier, and then ultimately that gets them into the playoff?
Yeah, I think so. And there can be the question of how many SEC teams can get in. We're all curious with a 12-team playoff. Ole Miss I put in the knocking on the door of the top tier category because they brought in real transfer talent. So let's see how it comes together. But yeah, their potential is tier 1 potential. But in the Missouri, LSU, Tennessee, and then A&M, Auburn, they all want to be part of that conversation. Tennessee has as much to feel good about because if they can be good to really good, in some areas great along the line of scrimmage, and if their quarterback has great potential, which he has, then if they tap into that and they can stay relatively healthy, nothing's guaranteed in football, but if it works out the way that they need it to, then they can be a playoff team this year because they can win in Norman if they're ready. If their defensive line can win the battles against Oklahoma's offensive line, then they can win the game. And if they beat NC State and Oklahoma and they're 4-0 at the end of September, they are a very real playoff contender, and nationally they'll be talked about that way entering October.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Josh.
You got it.